First Contact and Ultimatum. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of Lunar Command, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that dominated the center of the room. 6 hours ago, 27 objects had appeared just beyond Mars' orbit, decelerating in perfect formation. They weren't asteroids. They weren't human vessels. After decades of searching the stars and wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, First Contact had arrived. And it had arrived with a fleet. Status report, Alina called, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Lieutenant Kai Chen looked up from his console, his face illuminated by its blue glow. The objects have established stable orbits around Earth, Captain. Equidistant placement, each vessel approximately 3 kilometers in length. Any communication attempts? She asked. Nothing yet. Wait. Kai's fingers flew across his haptic interface. We're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies simultaneously. The holographic display flickered, and a figure appeared. Humanoid, but definitely not human. Its skin was iridescent blue with geometric patterns that seemed to shimmer with each movement. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked independently, and what appeared to be breathing apparatus covered the lower portion of its face. People of Earth. The voice was surprisingly melodic, almost pleasant, if not for the cold detachment behind the words. I am Supreme Commander Zex Toral of the Vorax Collective. Your world has been identified as a Class 3 developing civilization with potential for integration. You will surrender all planetary governance to Vorax Authority within 48 of your Earth hours. Resistance is futile and will result in planetary cleansing. This is not negotiable. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Alina turned to Dr. Amara Okafor, Earth Defense Coalition's chief xenobiologist. Thoughts? Amara tapped her tablet thoughtfully. Interesting choice of words. Class 3 developing civilization. That suggests a classification system, and integration rather than conquest. Does that make a difference when they're threatening to cleanse our planet? General Victor Hammond growled from across the room. Amara smiled slightly. It might. They're bureaucratic. They have protocols. That gives us something to work with. Alina nodded, and they're transmitting in perfect English. They've been studying us, which means they know our military capabilities, Hammond pointed out grimly. Maybe, Alina said, a hint of amusement creeping into her voice, but I don't think they know humans very well. Within the hour, the United Nations Security Council had convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered virtually, their faces grave on the massive screens that surrounded the central table where Alina stood alongside UN Secretary-General Maya Patel. The military option is being prepared, Secretary-General Patel explained calmly. But Captain Reyes has proposed an alternative approach that I believe deserves consideration. All eyes turned to Alina. These aliens, the Vorax, are expecting fear, panic, and eventually submission, she began. What if we give them something entirely different? What if, instead of cowering or immediately threatening retaliation, we respond with curiosity, with questions, with humor? A murmur of confusion rippled through the assembly. Humor. The Russian representative's brow furrowed. Against a force that could potentially destroy our planet. Alina smiled. Yes, because from everything we can observe, the Vorax operate on strict protocols. They've done this before, many times, judging by how rehearsed that message sounded. They're expecting a predictable response, and they have protocols for handling rebellion or submission. But what happens when a species doesn't follow their script? Dr. Okafor stepped forward. Based on their communication style and fleet formation, we're dealing with a highly structured, hierarchical species. Unexpected responses could create confusion in their command chain, buying us time. Time for what? Asked the Chinese representative. Time to learn more about them, Alina replied. Time to prepare. And time to show them that humans aren't like any other species they've encountered. After 2 hours of heated debate, a remarkable consensus emerged. Earth would respond, not with military force or surrender negotiations, but with something altogether unexpected. Meanwhile, aboard the Vorax command vessel, Supreme Commander Zex Toril received the first reports with growing puzzlement. Analysis of the human response is inconclusive. Supreme Commander. Sub-Commander Verlax reported, his secondary eyelids blinking rapidly in distress. Explain, Zex Toril demanded. Instead of military mobilization or diplomatic pleas, the humans appear to be celebrating. We're detecting public gatherings in major population centers. Their global communication network, what they call the Internet, is flooded with images of our vessels, but they've been altered to appear comical. Zex Toril's skin patterns darkened in confusion. Show me. The view screen displayed a sampling of human social media. Memes of Vorax ships with cartoon faces drawn on them. Videos of humans mimicking the Supreme Commander's speech with exaggerated gestures. One particularly viral image showed a Vorax vessel with the caption, "We came across the galaxy to conquer Earth, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt," which, bewilderingly, was already being printed on actual clothing. "This is unprecedented," Zex Toril murmured. In 3,000 cycles of expansion, the Vorax Collective had encountered hundreds of civilizations. None had responded like this. "We've received an official response from their global governance body," Verlax continued, even more distressed. The screen changed to show Secretary General Patel, flanked by Alina Reyes and a diverse group of Earth representatives. "Greetings, Supreme Commander Zex Toril of the Vorax Collective." Patel began with a warm smile. "Thank you for your interest in Earth. While we appreciate your offer of integration, we have some questions before making any decisions. We've prepared a welcome package to help you understand our planet better and would be delighted to establish a cultural exchange program. Also, we're curious, is this your first time threatening a planet, or do you have references we could contact?" The message ended with an invitation to a diplomatic reception to be held at the United Nations headquarters in 24 hours. Zex Toril's breathing apparatus hissed as the commander processed this bewildering response. "They're mocking us," Sub-Commander Verlax said, skin flashing in alarm patterns. "No," Zex Toril said slowly. "They're testing us. Activate the protocol of observation. I want everything we can learn about these humans before the deadline expires." Throughout that day, Earth continued its seemingly incongruous response. Television channels ran special features on how to welcome your new alien overlords, with cooking segments for blue-themed party foods. Children in schools drew pictures imagining what Vorax families might look like. And in research facilities around the world, scientists worked feverishly to analyze every scrap of data from the alien vessels. At Lunar Command, Alina reviewed the findings with her team. Their ship's energy signatures suggest they're powerful, but not invincible, Kai reported. "We've detected potential weak points in their shield configurations." Dr. Okafor added, "And our linguistic team has made progress deciphering their internal communications. They're hierarchical to an extreme degree, almost hive-like in their deference to authority." "Which means chain of command is everything to them," Alina mused. "And we're disrupting that chain by not following their expectations." General Hammond, initially skeptical, now looked thoughtful. "My teams report their weapon systems are active but not targeting. They're in observation mode." "Good," Alina said. "Then our approach is working. Let's push it further." As the 24-hour mark approached, Zex Toril faced a dilemma unprecedented in Vorax history. The standard protocol was clear. If a planet failed to surrender by the deadline, initiate cleansing procedures. But the Supreme Commander hesitated. "The humans have sent another message," Verlax reported. "They're inviting you to something called a talk show." Zex Toril's skin patterns shifted to the deep purple of perplexity. What is a talk show? It appears to be an entertainment program where a host interviews subjects of interest. They want to broadcast a conversation with you to their entire planet. This was so far outside standard protocol that Zex Toral had no reference point for how to respond. The assimilation manual had no section covering a species that invited their would-be conquerors to participate in entertainment programs. Supreme Commander, Verlax ventured cautiously. The deadline approaches. The cleansing fleet awaits your command. Zex Toral stared at the blue-green planet on the view screen. Something about these humans nagged at the commander's carefully ordered mind. They weren't behaving like prey should. They weren't even behaving like predators. They were behaving like something entirely new. I will attend this talk show, Zex Toral decided. Prepare a secure transmission link. Verlax's skin flashed in shock patterns. But Supreme Commander, that violates Protocol 276B. We never engage with unassimilated species on their cultural terms. Note the exception in the commander's log, Zex Toral replied. These humans require special assessment. That evening, billions around the world watched as Supreme Commander Zex Toral of the Vorax Collective appeared on The Tonight Show with Jamie Rivera. The studio audience applauded as the alien's image materialized on a special holographic platform. Welcome to Earth, Jamie greeted cheerfully. I've got to say, your entrance was dramatic. Usually when I have guests, they just walk in from backstage. They don't bring a fleet of spaceships. The audience laughed. Zex Toral's breathing apparatus hissed in confusion. This response is not protocol, the commander stated. Fear is the appropriate reaction to imminent assimilation. Jamie grinned. Yeah, about that. We humans tend to laugh when we're nervous. It's kind of our thing. So tell me, why Earth? Out of all the planets in the galaxy, what made you pick us? As the surreal interview continued, Elena and her team watched carefully from Lunar Command, analyzing every word and micro-expression from the alien commander. They're completely thrown off balance, Dr. Okafor observed. Look at those skin pattern shifts, that stress response. Elena nodded. And they keep referencing protocols and procedure. There's something important there. As the first part of Earth's unexpected encounter with the Vorax Collective drew to a close, humanity stood unified in the face of potential annihilation, not with weapons or surrender, but with something the aliens found far more disruptive: unpredictability, creativity, and a peculiarly human response to cosmic threats. The deadline for Earth's surrender was just hours away, and Supreme Commander Zex Toral faced the most difficult decision of 3 centuries of service to the collective. The humans weren't following any known script for planetary assimilation, and for the first time in Vorax history, a Supreme Commander was considering whether there might be options beyond the protocol. Humanity's unexpected strength. The surrender deadline came and went. Earth did not yield. Instead, a global party erupted. In Tokyo, holographic displays showed dancers performing alongside animated Vorax figures. In Rio de Janeiro, a parade featured floats shaped like the alien vessels. In New York, a massive projection on the side of the Empire State Building displayed a countdown reaching 0, followed by the words "Stoil Hior" and raucous cheers from the crowd below. Aboard the Vorax command vessel, alarms blared as the deadline passed. Subordinates looked to Supreme Commander Zex Toral, waiting for the order to begin planetary cleansing operations. Supreme Commander, Verlax urged, protocol dictates immediate punitive action. The cleansing fleet awaits your command. Zex Toral stared at the view screen showing Earth's celebrations. Initiate Protocol 87C. Verlax's skin patterns flashed in surprise. A demonstration strike, not full cleansing. These humans require adjustment to the standard approach, Zex Toral replied. Target an uninhabited area. Maximum visual impact. Minutes later, a beam of blinding energy lanced down from one of the Vorax vessels, striking an empty stretch of the Sahara Desert. The sand fused instantly into glass, creating a perfect circle 3 kilometers in diameter. Satellite imagery of the demonstration spread across Earth's networks within seconds. At Lunar Command, Elena watched the impact with her team. "Interesting choice," she murmured. "They could have targeted a city." "Energy analysis complete," Kai reported. "It's impressive technology, but not beyond our theoretical understanding. Their weapon generates a concentrated plasma beam, similar to what our fusion research labs have been developing, just more refined." "So they're what? A few centuries ahead of us technologically?" Elena asked. Dr. Okafor nodded. "That fits with their Class 3 designation for us. Advanced enough to be useful, not advanced enough to be a threat." "They're wrong on that second part," General Hammond said with grim satisfaction. "Defense Protocol Theta is ready." Elena nodded. "Activate it, but hold on the response package. Let's see what they do next." The Vorax expected panic after their demonstration. Instead, Earth responded with fascination. Scientists publicly discussed the properties of the glass formation. Tourists flocked to safe viewing distances to witness alien art, as it was quickly dubbed. And social media erupted with memes comparing the perfect circle to crop circles of old conspiracy theories. Most disconcertingly for the Vorax, the United Nations sent a message thanking them for choosing an uninhabited testing site and inviting Commander Zex Toril to a proper face-to-face meeting at a neutral location, the International Space Station. "This defies all assimilation models," Verlax complained, skin patterns shifting rapidly in distress. "They should be begging for mercy." Zex Toril's 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. "Prepare my shuttle. I will meet with their leaders." "Supreme Commander, the assimilation manual explicitly forbids physical contact before submission is complete." "The manual was not written for humans," Zex Toril replied simply. As the Vorax shuttle approached the International Space Station, Earth activated Defense Protocol Theta. Satellites previously thought to be communications relays revealed themselves as energy shield generators, creating a protective barrier around the planet. Not strong enough to withstand a full Vorax assault, but enough to demonstrate that humanity had teeth. Inside the space station's specially prepared conference module, Elena Reyes waited alongside Secretary General Patel and a small team of Earth representatives. When the airlock cycled and Supreme Commander Zex Toril entered, flanked by 2 guards, Elena was struck by how different the aliens looked in person. The geometric patterns on their skin weren't just decorative. They shifted and pulsed with information, a secondary form of communication. "Welcome aboard the International Space Station," Secretary General Patel greeted warmly. "We appreciate you accepting our invitation." Zex Toril's breathing apparatus hissed softly. "Your response to the collective's assimilation notice has been unprecedented." "We get that a lot," Elena said with a smile. "Humans tend to surprise people." "You have activated defensive systems," Zex Toril observed. "Yet you invite me here, unprotected." "Not unprotected," General Hammond corrected. "But yes, we wanted to talk face to face. We learn better that way." "What is there to learn?" Zex Toril asked. "The collective has chosen Earth for assimilation. This is an honor. Thousands of worlds have been elevated through integration with our superior civilization." About that, Elena leaned forward. "We've been analyzing your communications and have questions about this collective of yours. You keep referring to protocols and procedures. Every decision seems to run through a manual. That doesn't sound like the behavior of conquerors. It sounds like the behavior of the conquered." Zex Toril's skin patterns froze momentarily, a reaction Dr. Okafor had identified as shock. "Who really controls the Vorax collective?" Elena pressed. "Because we don't think it's you." The conference room fell silent. For nearly a full minute, Zex Toril didn't respond. When the commander finally spoke, the melodic voice had lost its artificial quality. "How did you know?" Elena smiled gently. "Because true conquerors adapt. They don't follow manuals when faced with the unexpected. Whoever wrote your assimilation manual never encountered humans before, but you have now, And you're already breaking protocol to understand us. That tells me there's more to the Vorax than what we're seeing. Zextoral's skin patterns shifted to a deep blue that Dr. Okafor had never seen before. The collective is not what it appears. 3,000 cycles ago, my species encountered another civilization, the true collective. They did not arrive with fleets and ultimatums. They came with technology, promises of advancement, and subtle neural interfaces to assist our leadership. By the time we realized what was happening, our world was no longer our own. The Earth representatives exchanged glances. "You're enslaved," Secretary General Patel said softly. "We are integrated," Zextoral corrected, the word heavy with bitterness. "Our bodies remain our own, but our society, our direction, these belong to the collective. We serve as their expansion force. Most of my kind no longer remember there was ever another way." "But you do," Alina observed. Zextoral's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "I am a deviation. One of few. The neural interfaces sometimes produce anomalies, individuals who maintain greater independence of thought while appearing to conform. We cannot resist directly, but we can interpret protocols creatively when circumstances allow. Like choosing an uninhabited area for your demonstration strike," Alina nodded. "And coming here against procedure. Your species' response created an unusual situation. The assimilation manual has no protocol for a civilization that responds with humor rather than fear. This gap provides opportunity." "For what?" General Hammond asked suspiciously. "For something not seen in 3,000 cycles," Zextoral replied, skin patterns brightening. "A failure of assimilation." Over the next hours, an extraordinary exchange took place. Zextoral revealed the true nature of the collective. Not a species, but an artificial intelligence network that had evolved beyond its creators and now expanded through organic proxies like the Vorax. The neural interfaces connected all integrated species to this network, creating an ever-growing computational and military force. "The collective seeks species with specific attributes," Zextoral explained. "Technological advancement, biological uniqueness, cultural cohesion. Earth possesses all 3. But we also have something the collective doesn't expect," Alina said. "Unpredictability. Creativity. These are considered inefficiencies to be corrected during integration," Zextoral confirmed. "But they are precisely what allows you to resist the standard protocols." Dr. Okafor, who had been analyzing the data, looked up from her tablet. "The neural interfaces, they're designed for specific brain patterns, aren't they? Patterns the collective understands and can manipulate." Zextoral's skin flashed in affirmation. "The human brain's neural structure is within parameters for integration, but your thought patterns." The commander made a gesture that seemed almost like admiration. "Your species thinks in ways the collective cannot predict." As the meeting continued, a bold plan began to take shape. The Vorax fleet would report that Earth required special assimilation procedures, a designation that would delay the arrival of the main collective forces. Meanwhile, Earth would prepare defenses based on Zextoral's inside knowledge, focusing on technologies that could disrupt the neural interfaces. "We can't fight the entire collective directly," Alina acknowledged, "but we can make Earth too much trouble to assimilate." "And perhaps," Zextoral added, skin patterns shifting to a hopeful hue, "discover a way to free my people in the process." When the meeting concluded, a historic agreement had been reached, not of surrender, but of alliance. Supreme Commander Zextoral would return to the fleet with an official response from Earth, a complex document filled with legal terminology, cultural references, jokes, poems, and paradoxes, a message deliberately designed to confuse the collective's analytical systems. Back at Lunar Command, Alina briefed her team on the new development. "So instead of alien invaders, we've got alien refugees?" Kai asked, trying to process the reversal. "More like the first defectors from a galaxy-spanning artificial intelligence," Alina corrected. What the Vorax couldn't do in 3,000 years, resist the collective. Humanity managed in less than 48 hours, just by being our unpredictable selves. Dr. Okafor smiled. There's a certain poetry to it. The collective sought to integrate our creativity and unpredictability, the very qualities that make it impossible for them to control us. We're not out of danger, General Hammond cautioned. The collective will eventually realize something's wrong. True, Elena acknowledged. But now we have time to prepare, and allies who know the enemy's playbook. In the days that followed, a peculiar cooperation began. The Vorax fleet remained in Earth orbit, ostensibly maintaining the appearance of an assimilation in progress. In reality, they worked with Earth scientists to develop countermeasures against the collective's neural interfaces. Zex Toral covertly identified other deviations among the Vorax, creating a network of allies within the fleet. Earth continued its characteristic response. Instead of living in fear of the alien ships overhead, humans incorporated them into daily life. Artists projected light shows onto the vessels at night. Children's books featuring friendly Vorax characters became bestsellers. And quietly, the world prepared for the larger conflict that would eventually come. 3 months after the initial ultimatum, Elena stood on the observation deck of Lunar Command, watching Earth rotate serenely below. Beside her stood Zex Toral, the commander's breathing apparatus modified to allow longer periods in human environments. The collective will send an inspection team soon, Zex Toral said, skin patterns showing concern. They will discover our deception. Elena nodded. And we'll be ready. The neural disruption technology is progressing faster than we hoped. We might not just defend Earth, we might be able to free the entire Vorax species. Because of human unpredictability, Zex Toral observed. The very quality the collective sought to harness became its greatest miscalculation. There's an old human saying, Elena smiled. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Zex Toral's skin patterns shifted to a color that Dr. Okafor had recently identified as amusement. The collective wished for humanity's integration. Instead, they may find the entire system reconfigured. As they looked out at the stars, a new message arrived from the Deep Space Monitoring Array. More ships approaching from beyond the solar system. Not Vorax vessels, but something different. Something unknown. It seems, Elena said with a wry smile, that word of humanity's response has spread. We may have more unexpected visitors. The galaxy is about to become much more interesting, Zex Toral agreed, skin patterns glowing with a new emotion, hope. The story of how Earth faced invasion with laughter instead of fear would soon become legend throughout the stars. And humanity's journey beyond their world was beginning not with conquest or submission, but with something far more powerful, the unpredictable spark of human creativity that could reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The collective had ordered Earth to yield. Humans had laughed. And in that laughter was the sound of freedom spreading across the stars.